You're up.
All right. So, as you said, it's very important. I'm proud to be here. It's very important at the moment to be talking about this, actually. I chose my topic a long time ago, but in the midst of all the solidarity that we need at the moment, I thought it's a perfect topic, developing emotional awareness. I only have 10 minutes and I have a lot of plans for you guys. What I'm going to do in 10 minutes is show you how I explain what I do to my students, because I find it's very important for students to know what's going on in the classroom. Then I'm going to show you 4 different types of activities that you can easily implement in your lessons. It's types of activities, basically, that are going to help our students develop that very thing, develop in English more a listening and adapting, a responsive way of handling their conversations in English. So I always start by asking my students if they play chess. Rob, it seems I don't have control of these slides. I'm clicking. Okay, the first one takes a while. Yes? Am I clicking or are you clicking?
Yeah, for some reason, I'll do it. Just,
So I say click when you should click.
yeah, for some reason it's not working with yours. It worked with everybody else's.
Yeah, it worked earlier.
Yeah.
Well, basically, so I asked my students, there we go. I asked my students if they like to play chess. And I have to be honest, I can play chess, but playing chess with me is going to be pretty much like that. I move my first pawn up 1, and I'm really excited because I've got a good plan going on. I've got a great strategy prepared, and I expect you to move your pawn 1. So Rob, go ahead, move your pawn 1. Oh, wow. This is going according to my plan. Everything's perfect. So I'm going to move my next pawn 2. Let's go with that, Rob. Ooh. My plan is really going well right now. And then you surprise me. Rob, there you go. Boom, your queen right in the middle of my defense, on the other side even. And that's how terrible a chess player I am. I mean, I can't adapt to that. I can plan my moves and this, you know, this, my dad, I remember when my dad showed me this the first time. I mean, I'm trying with my pawns to have some kind of opening in my defense and to trap you in. But if you do anything that goes against that strategy, I'm pretty much lost. There's not much I can do. So Rob, click, click, 2 clicks. This is really to show to students the difference between planning and preparing and listening and adapting. And chess here gives us an example of something that you master, whereas compared to something that you can do. Everybody, all of us in our native languages, we can easily both prepare and plan how we want conversations to go along, and listen and adapt to the emotional cues that we hear and adapt our plans to that. In a second, third language, that is more and more difficult. If we don't develop the right reflexes, if we don't play with this, it's more difficult. As for a novice or amateur chess player, it's more difficult to listen and adapt. And so I'm going to show you 4 types of activities that I do in my lessons that help my students develop this listening and adapting, this responsive way of speaking in English. So next slide, Rob. Is it working? Right. Whenever I'm working with readings, texts, this, for example, is a real life text. It's an Apple PR statement. You can find it. The link is right there. Instead of doing traditional type reading activities, I'm going to ask my students to summarize paragraphs. You see on the left, there's summary, and the summary can be as simple as click, Rob, It can be as simple as this. So students are going to write, hey there, it's us. We hear you. And next, third paragraph, Rob. But we know best. This is my students just writing in a couple of words their summary of the paragraph they've just written. They've just read. And then once they've summarized it, this is their first reading. So it's really about, this is more about analysis. And then I'm going to ask them to judge the audience reaction per paragraph, basically. So it's going to work like this. I'm going to ask them to put a plus or a minus every time they feel better or worse than their original feeling. Rob, again, click, plus, okay, my student is reading and is happy. Click again. Another plus, this first paragraph, very good. Another click. In this paragraph, minus. Another click. And another click. And there we have it. My student is just writing their reaction to what they read. And we can also have them write in audience thoughts and emotions. They can write justification for their pluses and minuses. So this is a typical way of doing reading activities that I find really useful. I call it running emotions. Instead of students taking reading text and just doing the traditional reading exercises, checking for comprehension, what they're doing is also thinking about the emotional reactions of the reader. And it's very important, things like email, business correspondence. This is a PR statement from Apple. A PR statement will be good if it calms down the audience. We should, in the end of this text, have a lot more pluses than minuses. Rob, we may click. So here they're writing, finally, so what's the deal? This is the emotion they're feeling while they're reading. Yeah, right, come on, I don't believe that. And again, Rob? Fair enough, okay. So this is how I'll run reading activities to help my students develop this emotional awareness in English. Next slide, Rob. Listening activities. I love playing emotions bingo. Instead of, again, my students only listening to the logic, only looking for information in any listening text, listening activity, I'll just surprise them by all of a sudden giving them an emotions bingo. And they'll play emotions bingo. They'll put crosses whenever they feel they have an emotion. They heard an emotion in the listening text. They have to justify it. So it works like this. Rob, click. There we go. The first student found it heard shy. Again, click. The second student agrees. They're listening to the text and they hear the person is being shy. Okay, Rob, click. Oh, the first student thinks the person is being formal. If they have a justification, very good. Second student, they felt they heard the impressed emotion, someone who was impressed. Third emotion, romantic. First student has got the bingo. They got 3 in a row. They did their emotions bingo. They were the first students to connect 3. And there we have it. Rob, we can go to the next one. So the second student agreed, but they didn't do a bingo. They didn't connect 3. So running emotions bingo. Finally, relationshiping. For any speaking activity, I will give my students very weird relationships, no matter what the role play is. So on the left, you kind of have conversation starters, things like that, and they can be serious, they can be a bit wacky. Did you hear that? Arr! Jack, is that you? And they have to start a conversation. The conversation starters can also be very formal. All right, I'd like to start this meeting by firing Bob. Last semester's report. Let's talk about last semester's report. Whatever the conversation starter is, I never leave them just with that. I will give them some relationship cards. And the relationship cards are supposed to put students in different levels of formality, but also familiarity. So 5-year-old best friends, an alien overlord and humans, a pet and its owner, a politician and a protester, foreign ambassadors, etc. All these relationships, I call them relationshipping. I will always put my students in a role play where they're in a relationship that they didn't expect. Because typically, students have trouble getting out of the normal level of formality and familiarity that they have. It's all about acting. And finally, writing activities. Rob, we're right on time. Finally, writing activities, I'm going to ask my students to set the tone before they go and draft and write their tasks. So typically, I like this one because I always struggled in giving my students opportunities to use politics vocabulary and things like that in a safe environment. So I'll give my students roles. So Rob, let's show the first role. For example, this is Candy Queen. This is a Magic World Leaders Summit. It's like a G8, but all the leaders of our very weird world, a bit like Harry Potter world. So this is the Candy Queen. She's very interested in increasing candy exports, increasing sugar, milk, fruit, butter imports, getting help with organizing an international dental center, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to ask my students to think of 2 or 3 emotionally significant experiences in the life of the Candy Queen. And this is going to help set the tone for the writing. Rob, let's show another world leader. This is the Vampire King. He's interested in increasing donor blood supply, stop vampire discrimination in the media, because honestly, what's the big deal? Increase spider imports, blah, blah, blah. Increasing black and red clothing exports. Next world leader. Caveman King, well, he needs help getting help with building the cave center of basic medicine. They need to get 100 flashlights, 100 lighters, get help with constructing a first wheel. And last world leader, modern people prime minister. And so for each of these roles, they are going to prepare, they're going to think of 2 or 3 emotionally significant experiences to set the tone in their writing tasks. And there we have it. These 4 types of new ways of dealing with reading, listening, speaking, and writing activities. In every one, as you can see, I'm pushing the students to play with their listening, their adapting, and their responsive state while using English. That was just above 10 minutes. Rob, there's one more slide about the 5 pillars of identity, but we'll do that another time, I think.